The alarms. I can still hear them in my sleep. They told us it was a minor containment breach, a simple biocontaminant from the Europa probe they'd spent decades chasing. They lied. Now, the silence is so much worse than the screams ever were. Is this thing on? The battery light is flickering. I have to be quiet. The slightest noise, it draws them. My name. My name is Dr. Eris Thorne. I was an astrobiologist. I worked on the Europa 7 mission. Now I'm just a ghost talking into a recorder. If anyone finds this, if anyone is still out there to find this, you need to know how it started. Not the version the government fed you before everything went dark. The truth. It started with a sound, a celebration. October 15th, 2025. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena felt more like a New Year's Eve party than a scientific institution. We'd done it. After a 15-year journey, the Europa 7 return vehicle had successfully landed in the Utah desert. It was carrying the Holy Grail, pristine ice and water samples from beneath the frozen crust of Jupiter's moon, Europa. We were popping champagne corks that had been on ice for a decade. Dr. Lena Petrova, the mission director, a woman with a will of iron and a mind like a diamond, gave a speech that made even the most cynical engineers weep. "Today, we are no longer just looking at the stars," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Today, the stars have come to us. We stand on the precipice of answering the oldest question humanity has ever asked. Are we alone?" We felt like gods. We were arrogant. We were fools. I was a junior member of the bioanalysis team. My job was simple, or so I thought. Run preliminary scans on the sample containment vessel. Check for radiation, pressure leaks, any terrestrial contamination. It was a glorified checklist, a job for an intern, but I was thrilled to do it. I was in the room where it happened. The primary containment vessel, a sleek titanium alloy cylinder we called the Covenant, sat in the center of the Level 4 biosafety lab. It was a sterile cathedral of glass and steel. We moved with the slow, deliberate grace of priests performing a sacred rite. My station was in the outer control room, a glass box overlooking the main lab where two senior specialists, Daniels and Chen, were preparing to make the first incision into the outer casing. I was monitoring the atmospheric sensors inside the clean room. Everything was nominal. Nitrogen levels, stable. Oxygen, 0. Pressure, perfect. I remember looking at my screen, then through the reinforced glass at the Covenant. It was covered in the frost of its journey, a cold, alien thing in our warm, sterile world. I felt a weird hum. Not through my ears, but through the soles of my shoes, a deep, sub-auditory vibration coming from the lab floor. I checked my console. No seismic activity, no equipment malfunctions. I flagged it to my supervisor, a perpetually stressed man named Marcus. He glanced at my screen, grunted, and said, "It's probably just the new ventilation system cycling up. Don't worry about it, Thorne. Keep your eyes on the pressure." But it wasn't the ventilation. The hum grew, changing in frequency. It was a low, resonant thrum that seemed to get right inside your bones. Inside the clean room, Daniels paused, his laser cutter held aloft. I saw him tap his helmet, a gesture to Chen, asking if he felt it too. Chen shook his head, but he looked uneasy. On my screen, a micro-pressure sensor inside the Covenant, sensor Gamma 7, started to fluctuate. A tiny, almost imperceptible waver. It was supposed to be rock solid. I flagged it again. "Marcus, I have an anomaly on Gamma 7, micro-fluctuations." He leaned over my shoulder, his coffee breath fogging the corner of my monitor. "It's within tolerance, Eris. Settle down. It's probably just the cryofluid settling." He wanted this to go smoothly. We all did. A Nobel Prize was on the line. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. The hum was a constant now, a palpable presence in the room. The air felt thick, heavy with static electricity. The hairs on my arms were standing on end. I looked at the live feed from the camera mounted on the sample extraction arm.
It was focused on the surface of the Covenant, and I saw it, a web of faint, hair-like crystalline structures. They weren't frost, they were growing, spreading from a microscopic fissure near the main seal, branching out like ice patterns on a winter window, but with a terrifying geometric precision. They pulsed with a faint internal light, a soft, sickly blue that seemed to sync with the hum. "Marcus, look at the extraction camera feed," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "There's something growing on the casing." He squinted at the screen, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. He got on the comms to the clean room. "Daniels, Chen, abort the incision. I repeat, abort. We have a visual anomaly on the casing." Daniels' voice crackled back, strained. "Copy that, Control. What are we seeing? Our internal cameras are clear." "Just back away from the vessel, slowly," Marcus commanded. But it was too late. As Daniels and Chen began to retreat, the blue light flared. The hum became a deafening, piercing shriek that shattered the professional calm of the control room. Every screen in front of us blared with warnings: pressure breach, containment failure, biohazard release imminent. Through the glass, I saw the crystalline structures flash with brilliant intensity. The Covenant, a piece of technology designed to withstand the vacuum of space and the heat of re-entry, began to buckle. Not from the outside, but from the inside. A seam near the main seal split open with a sickening hiss, venting a cloud of vapor that was not inert cryofluid. It was a pale, shimmering aerosol that caught the light like dust motes in a sunbeam. It didn't dissipate. It swirled, coalesced, and then it moved with purpose. It moved towards Daniels. The lab's automatic biopurge system kicked in. Alarms blared, red lights strobed, and thick steel doors began to slide shut. Marcus was screaming orders. I was frozen, my hands hovering over my console, watching a nightmare unfold. The aerosol cloud enveloped Daniel's helmet. For a second, nothing happened. Then, the crystalline structures I'd seen on the vessel began to form on his faceplate, spreading with unnatural speed, etching into the polycarbonate. He raised his hands to his helmet, his muffled screams just barely audible over the alarms. Then, he fell. Chen scrambled for the emergency airlock, but the shimmering mist was faster. It swirled around him, and he fell too. Inside the control room, chaos erupted. People were running, shouting. The facility-wide lockdown was initiated. We were trapped. Trapped with the thing we had brought back from the abyss. Dr. Petrova's voice, now stripped of all its earlier warmth, came over the PA system, a cold, terrified command. "Code Black. I repeat, Code Black. All personnel to designated shelter zones. This is not a drill." I looked back at the clean room. The mist had dissipated, but Daniels was getting up. He moved stiffly, unnaturally, his limbs jerking like a marionette's. His head was slumped to one side, but he was standing. He turned towards the reinforced glass of our control room. His faceplate was completely opaque, covered in that pulsating blue crystal. But I knew he was looking right at me. That was the moment my world ended. The moment we all stopped being scientists and became prey. The beginning of the long, silent scream that the world has become. It wasn't a microbe, it wasn't a virus, it was a hunter. And we had just rung its dinner bell from 400 million miles away. I should have paid more attention to the hum. We all should have. It was a warning, a predatory growl from a creature older than our planet. And we, in our hubris, had mistaken it for the song of the stars. What followed was a blur of steel doors, panicked sprints down sterile corridors, and the first true screams. Not of fear, but of transformation. The thing from Europa didn't just kill. It repurposed. It remade.
I saw a security guard, a big guy named Frank, who always had a donut and a bad joke for me, try to hold a door. The mist seeped under it. It touched his boot. He started screaming, a high, wet sound as the blue crystals crawled up his leg, his skin rippling and changing underneath. The bones snapped and reformed. He wasn't Frank anymore. The thing that rose was taller, leaner, its joints bending the wrong way. It didn't look at us with Frank's eyes. It didn't look at us with eyes at all. It just sensed us, and it was hungry. I made it to Shelter Zone Gamma, a glorified concrete bunker 3 levels down, with about 30 other people. Marcus was there, pale and trembling. Dr. Petrova was on a secure monitor, her face a mask of horror and disbelief, trying to coordinate a response that was already doomed. We were sealed in. We thought we were safe. We had food, water, air filtration. We had time. What we didn't have was an understanding of what we were dealing with. The contaminant, as Petrova still called it in her strained broadcasts, wasn't just in the air. We learned that the hard way. It was in the water reclamation system. It had come through the pipes. The first person to turn was a young data analyst named Sarah. She just complained of a headache and a strange metallic taste in her mouth. Then she started humming. It was the same sub-auditory frequency I'd felt from the Covenant, a low, resonant thrum. Then the seizure started. The blue light pulsed beneath her skin. We tried to help her. We tried to restrain her. That was our second mistake. The thing that wore her skin was fast, so much faster than Frank had been. It seemed to learn, to adapt. The shelter became a tomb, an abattoir. I only survived because I ran. I sealed myself in a small server maintenance closet, wedging a steel rack against the door. I listened for 2 days. I listened to the screams, the wet, tearing sounds, and then the humming. A chorus of 30 voices, all humming that same alien frequency, a choir of the damned. When I finally emerged, the shelter was silent. They were gone. The main door was torn from its hinges, bent outwards. They had learned how to open doors. I was alone, truly alone. The date was October 18th, 2025. 3 days. It took 3 days for the pinnacle of human scientific achievement to become a charnel house. And the plague we had unleashed was just getting started. It was learning, evolving, and it was hungry for a whole new world. I grabbed this recorder, a solar-powered data logger, and whatever gear I could find. My journey out of JPL is a story for another time. A horror story of navigating silent halls and avoiding the things that used to be my friends. What matters is this: the official story, if one ever even got out, is a lie. This was no leak. This was an invasion. A silent, patient predator that hitched a ride on our curiosity. We reached for the stars, and we brought back the darkness between them. This is my log, my confession, my warning. Don't trust the official reports. Don't trust the reassurances. It's not a disease. It's a replacement, and it's just getting started. This is Dr. Eris Thorne, signing off. For now, I need to save the battery. And I think I hear humming. Log entry 2. It's been, I don't know, a week? Maybe more. The sun is my only clock, and it's been hidden behind a perpetual gray haze since I got out of the JPL facility. The air tastes of ash and something else, something sweet and cloying, like rotten meat and ozone. I'm holed up in what used to be a public library in Altadena. The books are my only companions. Ironic. Humanity's collected knowledge, all of it useless against what's out there. The silence in here is a heavy blanket, but it's the sounds from outside that keep me awake. The scraping, the wet, guttural clicks, and sometimes the humming. That god-awful synchronized humming. It seems to be a form of communication, a call, a signal of intent. Before I escaped JPL, I managed to do something incredibly stupid and incredibly necessary.
I went back. Not to the BSL-4 lab, God no. That place is a grave. I went back to my old office. The power was out in most of the administrative wing, but the emergency batteries were still powering the critical servers. My personal terminal was dead, but I had a failsafe. A hardened external drive, a little brick I called Pandora, where I backed up all my personal research, my raw telemetry data, my spectral analysis notes, everything. I risked my life for a few terabytes of data. At the time, I wasn't sure why. It was just instinct. The scientist in me refusing to die, refusing to let the truth die with us. Now, huddled in the dusty nonfiction aisle with a flickering LED lantern and a stolen solar charger, I'm beginning to understand. I'm piecing together the anatomy of the lie we were all told, the lie we told ourselves. It's all here, in the data. The warning signs were present from the moment Europa 7 began its final approach. We were just too blinded by excitement to see them. I've been cross-referencing the probe's final telemetry bursts with the initial sensor readings from the Covenant. There are discrepancies. Tiny ones, but they're there. The probe's external temperature sensors recorded a series of inexplicable, localized heat spikes as it entered Earth's atmosphere. We dismissed them as sensor ghosts, friction anomalies. We were wrong. The heat wasn't from friction. It was biological. The organism, the contaminant, was active.
It was reacting to the change in environment, its metabolism kicking into overdrive. It was awake. Then there are the mass spectrometer readings. The official report, the one we all signed off on, showed a composition consistent with saline water, trace minerals, and simple amino acids, the building blocks of life. It was the headline we wanted. But my raw data, the unfiltered, unsanitized feed, it shows something else. Along with the amino acids, there were complex metallo-organic compounds I've never seen before. Structures that seem to incorporate silicon and cobalt into their protein chains. It's not carbon-based life as we know it. It's something else entirely. Something that can form crystalline structures. Something that can survive the vacuum of space. Something that, I don't know, think. The most damning piece of evidence is a spectrographic analysis of the ice directly surrounding the sample collection site on Europa. I ran the analysis myself. There was a strange energy signature embedded in the ice, a faint, repeating signal that wasn't natural. It was too regular, too structured. I logged it as potential anthropogenic interference, thinking it was feedback from the probe's own systems. I submitted the report. Marcus told me to rerun the analysis with a different filter. The new filter, conveniently, erased the signal. Clean data is good data, Eris, he'd said. I see now. It wasn't interference. It was a signal, a lure, a siren song from a frozen moon, broadcast by a predator that had waited for millions of years in the dark. It knew we were listening. It knew we would come. We weren't discoverers. We were prey, drawn into a trap. And the sample we brought back? It wasn't a random scoop of ice. It was an egg, a seed, a Trojan horse. We did the hard work for it. We flew it across the solar system and delivered it to a warm, wet planet teeming with 8 billion potential hosts. This wasn't an accident. This was an invasion of unimaginable patience and cunning. The lies kept coming even after the breach. I've hacked into the emergency broadcast archives. The first public statements from FEMA and the CDC talked about a virulent new strain of meningitis originating in Pasadena. They showed stock footage of doctors in hazmat suits. They ordered a citywide quarantine. They told people to stay in their homes. They fed them to the monsters we had unleashed. I saw it myself on my way out of JPL. The National Guard trying to set up checkpoints. They were prepared for riots, for panic. They were not prepared for the things that came at them in the dark. Things that used to be their neighbors. Things that moved with silent, fluid grace, their limbs bending at impossible angles. Things that didn't stop for bullets, not unless you destroyed the central mass in the torso, where a new, crystalline nervous system was growing. The head is a decoy.
I learned that the hard way watching a whole squad get torn apart. They kept aiming for the head. Classic zombie movie logic. It's a fatal mistake. The creature's brain, its control center, is a cobalt silicon lattice that anchors itself to the host spine and spreads through the chest cavity. It glows with that faint blue light, especially when it's agitated or hunting. That's the target. Destroy the lattice and the body collapses like a puppet with its strings cut. But getting that close, it's not easy. They are fast, relentlessly strong, and they learn from every encounter. The first ones, the ones from the lab, were clumsy. The ones on the streets now, they hunt in packs. They use flanking maneuvers. They use basic tools. I saw one, a former housewife by the looks of her torn dress, use a rock to smash a car window to get at the person hiding inside. They are not mindless. They are guided by a hive intelligence. The humming is the network signal. When they hum together, they are sharing information, tactical data, the location of new prey, me. It explains how they spread so fast. It wasn't just physical contact. The initial outbreak in the lab created a massive aerosol bloom of spores. The ventilation systems at JPL, designed to be closed-loop, were compromised. The spores were carried out, caught the wind. Anyone who breathed them in was infected. The transformation is slower that way. A few hours of flu-like symptoms, a headache, the humming in your ears, and then you're gone. The host consciousness is extinguished, replaced by a node in the hive mind. I have to wonder, am I infected? I was in the facility. I breathe that air. I check myself every hour. I take my temperature. I listen for the hum inside my own head. So far, nothing. Maybe the concentration of spores I was exposed to was too low. Maybe I have some natural immunity. Or maybe, I'm just a time bomb. A terrifying thought. I can't stay here. The library is compromised. Last night, I heard them on the roof, scraping, testing for a way in. I've barricaded the main doors, but it's a temporary solution. I need to move. I need to find somewhere high, somewhere defensible, somewhere I can continue my work. I have a new goal now. It's not just about survival. It's about understanding. I have the data. I have the origin story. What I don't have is a weapon. Not a real one. A biological weapon. This thing, this entity, let's call it Europa Prime, it has to have a weakness. Every biological system does. And I'm gonna find it. I'm going to dissect this lie, piece by piece, until I find a sliver of truth that can save us, if there's anyone left to save. I have to go now. The scraping has stopped. That's not a good sign. Silence is always worse. Dr. Eris Thorne, still alive, for now. Log entry 3. It's been 3 weeks since day 0. I've made it to the Griffith Observatory. It was a stupid risk, I know. Crossing the LA basin was a multi-day gauntlet of stealth and terror. The city is gone. It's not a dead city. It's a conquered city. An alien hive. The things, the infected, they've changed the landscape. Great pulsating growths of that crystalline structure sprout from the sides of skyscrapers, glowing with a soft blue light at night. It's like the whole city has become part of its biology. The air is thick with spores, a shimmering haze that is beautiful and lethal. I wear a salvaged M50 gas mask at all times. I don't know if it's enough. Being up here, on this mountain, gives me a strategic advantage. I can see for miles. I can watch their movements, study their behavior. And what I'm seeing terrifies me more than any single encounter. They are not just a horde. They are an army, a colony. During the day, most of them are inactive. They gather in huge masses in shaded areas, under freeway overpasses, inside darkened office buildings. They stand motionless for hours, their heads tilted towards the sky, humming that collective resonant frequency. It's a symphony of the end. They're communicating, processing data, networking. But What are they talking about? What are they planning? I think they're terraforming. Not the planet, but the hosts. The infection is progressing in stages. I've categorized them based on my observations. Stage 1 are the whisperers, newly infected. They still look mostly human, aside from a pale complexion and a vacant 1,000-yard stare. They are clumsy, slow, but they are the vector. They wander aimlessly, humming softly, spreading the spores with every breath. They don't seem to be aggressive unless you get too close. They are the seeders. Stage 2 are the hunters. This is the form most people recognize. The host body has undergone significant physiological change. They are faster, stronger, with the cobalt lattice visible beneath the skin on their chest and spine. Their joints are hyperflexible. They are the soldiers, the primary aggressors. They hunt relentlessly, driven by a need to secure new hosts and biomass for the colony. They are terrifyingly efficient. But there's a stage 3. I've only seen them a few times, from a distance, through the powerful lens of the observatory Zeiss telescope. They are other. The human form is almost completely gone, remade into something truly alien.
They are larger, armored with thick, crystalline plates. Some have developed specialized limbs, long scythe-like arms, or powerful legs for incredible speed and leaping. They seem to be the alphas or the queens of the hive. They direct the hunters. I saw one yesterday, standing on the roof of the Capitol Records building. It was huge, at least 9 feet tall. It raised a multi-jointed arm, and a wave of hunters below changed direction in perfect unison, flowing down a street like a river of death. This is an intelligence at work, a terrifyingly brilliant one, and it's learning from us. I've seen them bypassing barricades that should have held. I watched a pack of hunters use a downed telephone pole as a battering ram to break into a fortified liquor store where a small group of survivors was holding out. The screams didn't last long. They are using our own technology, our own environment, against us. My work with the data from Pandora continues. It's slow. The observatory's power systems are shot, but I've managed to rig a connection from the solar panels on the roof to a bank of batteries. It gives me a few hours of electricity a day, enough to run my laptop. I've been focusing on the metallo-organic compounds. The cobalt-silicon lattice is the key. It functions as a nervous system, a power conduit, and a communications array. It draws energy directly from the host's biochemistry, but it needs an external catalyst, cobalt. The element is crucial for its structure. This could be a weakness. If I can find a way to disrupt cobalt absorption or metabolism, I might be able to poison them. A targeted chemical agent. A frequency that disrupts the lattice structure. It's theoretical. It's a long shot, but it's the only shot I have. Living up here is a constant struggle. Food is scavenged from the abandoned cafe and gift shop. Stale protein bars and bottled water. I have to make trips down the mountain every few days to find more. Each trip is a roll of the dice. The hills are crawling with hunters. They are drawn to the mountain. I don't know why. Maybe they sense the technology up here. Maybe they are drawn to me. Last night, I had a visitor. I was asleep in the planetarium under the grand dome. The stars painted on the ceiling are the only ones I get to see anymore. I woke up to a sound, a soft, melodic humming, different from the guttural drone of the horde. It was almost musical, a single voice. I crawled to the entrance of the theater and looked out into the main hall. Standing in the center of the rotunda, bathed in moonlight from the high windows, was a stage 1, a whisperer. It was a young woman, maybe early 20s. She was humming that strange, beautiful tune and tracing the patterns of the Foucault pendulum with her finger. She wasn't aggressive. She just seemed lost or curious. She looked up, and for a moment, her eyes met mine. For a split second, I didn't see a monster. I saw a person trapped inside, a flicker of the soul that was lost.
Then her head snapped to the side, and the vacant, hive-mind stare returned. The guttural hum started in her chest. She had sensed me. I scrambled back into the darkness, just as a pack of hunters burst through the main doors, drawn by her signal. I sealed the theater doors just in time. I spent the rest of the night listening to them tear the main hall apart, searching for me. The encounter has left me shaken. Is there anything left of the people they were? Or was that flicker just a trick of the light, a ghost in the machine? Does the hive mind feel curiosity? Or was it just another lure, another part of the trap? I have to believe there is a way to fight back. I have to believe that I am more than just a witness to the end of the world. I am a scientist. My lab is now a looted observatory. My test subjects are the monsters scratching at the door. But the mission is the same as it was on October 15th, to understand the unknown. Except this time, failure doesn't mean a ruined career. It means the extinction of my entire species. I need to get back to work. The batteries are charged, and I think I found a new frequency in the probe's data, one I missed before. It's not a lure, it's a command sequence, a kill switch. Now I just need to figure out how to broadcast it. Aris Thorn, still fighting, still thinking. Log entry 4. The mountain is no longer safe. They know I'm here. The siege is constant now. During the day, it's a war of attrition. Hunters testing the perimeter, probing for weaknesses in my defenses. I've barricaded every entrance, created choke points in the hallways. But I'm one man against a growing army. At night, it's a psychological war. The humming surrounds the observatory, a dissonant choir that vibrates through the concrete and steel. Sometimes they mimic voices. I swear I heard my sister, Sarah, calling my name last night. A faint, desperate cry carried on the wind. I know it's a trick. The hive mind digging into the memories of its hosts, weaponizing them. But it's hard to remember that when you're alone in the dark. I haven't slept for more than an hour at a time in days. Exhaustion is a sharp blade at my throat. My focus is on the kill switch frequency I found. It's a complex wave pattern, a sequence of sonic pulses hidden deep in the probe's diagnostic logs. It was labeled as a decontamination protocol, meant to be broadcast at the sample container to sterilize its surface with ultrasonic vibrations before re-entry. We never used it.
The risk of damaging the delicate organic material was deemed too high. Now I see its true purpose. It wasn't designed to kill terrestrial microbes. It was designed to shatter the cobalt-silicon lattice of Europa Prime. It was a self-destruct sequence, a feature built in by whom? That's the question that keeps me awake more than the monsters outside. Did someone on the Europa 7 design team know? Did they suspect what we might find and build a secret failsafe? Or is the signal even older? Part of the original lure, a trap within a trap. I don't have the answers. All I have is the frequency. The challenge is broadcasting it. The observatory's old radio transmitters are useless, fried by the initial EMP that knocked out most of the grid when the infection went global. I need something powerful, something with a wide dispersal range. That's when I remembered Project Echo. It was a defunct Cold War-era military installation tucked away in the San Gabriel Mountains, about 30 miles north of here. A massive radio telescope array, officially decommissioned in the 90s, but rumored to be a HARP-like research facility. If any part of it is still functional, if I can get its power online, I could broadcast the frequency across the entire LA basin. It could be the weapon I need. A sonic bomb that could wipe out every infected creature in a 50-mile radius. It's a desperate plan, a suicide mission. The path to Project Echo is through some of the most densely infested territory in the region, but staying here is also a death sentence. The hunters have started to show a new level of intelligence. They are no longer just throwing themselves at the walls. They are testing them, finding the weakest points.
Yesterday, I watched one use a piece of rebar to methodically chip away at the concrete around a door frame. They don't get tired. They don't need to rest. They will get in eventually. I've been preparing for the journey. I've packed what little food I have left. I've filled every water bottle. My weapon is a salvaged police-issue shotgun and about 20 shells. Not nearly enough. My most important weapon is knowledge. I've studied their patrol patterns from my perch here. I know the routes to avoid. I know that they are less active in direct, harsh sunlight. I have a window of about 6 hours in the middle of the day where my chances are not good, but better than zero. Before I leave, I have to do something. I have to destroy my data. Pandora, the hard drive, has been my lifeline. But if I fall, I can't risk the hive mind getting his hands on it. Can they interface with our technology? I don't know. But I saw a Stage 2 hunter methodically dismantling a laptop in a ruined office once, its strange crystalline fingers probing the motherboard.
I can't take the chance. I've encrypted the most critical files, the kill switch frequency, and uploaded them to a secure, cloud-based server, a digital time capsule. It's a Hail Mary. The internet is mostly a ghost town of dead links and looping emergency broadcasts. But some of the core infrastructure, the hardened military and corporate servers, are still running on independent power. If someone, somewhere, is still fighting, maybe they can find it. My call sign is Daedalus. The server address is coded into the final entry of this audio log, a breadcrumb for a ghost. This feels like a final entry. The sun is rising. The humming outside is fading as the horde retreats to the shade. This is my chance to slip away, to trade my concrete fortress for the horrors of the open road. I look at the Zeiss telescope one last time. For weeks, it has been my eye on this new, monstrous world. I've used it to study our destroyers. Last night, I pointed it at the sky, at Jupiter. It was just a bright, unwavering point of light in the eyepiece. Europa, its moon, was an invisible speck. So small, so far away, so quiet. It's hard to believe that something that could end our world came from such a silent, distant place. Maybe that's the final lesson. The universe isn't hostile. It isn't friendly. It's just indifferent. And the silence is full of things we can't possibly imagine. And some of them are hungry. Okay, time to go. The door is barricaded behind me. I'm climbing out through a service hatch on the roof, down the side of the mountain, then into the wild. If I broadcast again, it will be from Project Echo. If you are listening to this, if you find this log, the frequency is the key. The server address is a string of prime numbers hidden in the background static of this recording's final 10 seconds. Run a spectral analysis. It's the best I can do. Don't let this be for nothing. Don't let humanity's last chapter be a scream that no one heard. This is Dr. Eris Thorne. The Daedalus protocol is now active. Wish me luck. Log entry 5. I made it. I'm at Project Echo. God, I don't know how. The last 5 days have been a continuous waking nightmare. I'm recording this from the main control room of the facility. It's a concrete bunker buried deep inside the mountain. The air is stale, tasting of dust and cold electronics, but it's safe. For the first time in a month, I feel safe. The journey here, it changed me. I had to do things I never thought myself capable of, things that will haunt me forever. The city was the first trial. Moving through the silent streets where every shadow could be a hunter, every parked car an ambush site. I learned to move like a ghost. I learned that the whisperers, the stage ones, are like living tripwires. Their soft humming is a beacon that calls the hunters. I had to eliminate them, from a distance, before they knew I was there. My shotgun is gone. I used the last shell on a hunter that cornered me in a collapsed parking garage.
The blast brought down half the ceiling, and I barely escaped. Now I have a tire iron and a sharpened piece of rebar. Primitive, brutal, but effective. The true horror wasn't the infected. It was the other survivors. The road of bones. That's what I call the I-210 freeway. It's a graveyard of cars and rusted metal. And it's ruled by hyenas. Gangs of people who have embraced the end of the world. Who have become monsters without being infected. I ran into one of them at a makeshift checkpoint they'd set up near a bridge. They weren't interested in my supplies. They were interested in sport. They saw my JPL ID card, which I foolishly kept. They thought I was one of the guilty ones. They were going to make an example of me. I don't want to record what I had to do to get away. I learned that the thing from Europa isn't the only darkness we have to fear. There's a darkness inside us, too, just waiting for the lights to go out. After that, I stayed away from the main roads. I moved through the foothills, through burned-out suburban neighborhoods and overgrown parks. It was slower, but safer. It was there I found something that gave me a sliver of hope. I was scavenging in a ransacked house when I found a child's bedroom. It was untouched, pristine. And on the wall, there was a drawing, a crayon picture of a family holding hands under a smiling sun. Below it, scrawled in a child's handwriting, was the word Haven, and an arrow pointing north. It was a sign, a message. There are others out there, not just scavengers and killers, people who are trying to rebuild, people who are still holding on to hope. Maybe Haven is real. Maybe it's just a child's dream, but it's a reason to keep fighting. Getting into Project Echo was its own hell. The facility was locked down tight, military-grade security. I spent a whole day trying to find a way in, crawling through ventilation shafts that were barely wide enough for me to fit. The place is a time capsule from the Cold War. Old, bulky computers, reel-to-reel tape machines, everything thick with the dust of decades. It was abandoned long before the fall. But the power is here. The facility runs on a geothermal generator, tapping into the heat deep inside the mountain. It's an independent, self-sustaining system, and it's still running. I've spent the last 24 hours in a frantic haze, studying the old schematics, trying to understand these ancient systems. The main radio telescope, a massive 100-foot dish on the summit, is my target. The motors are shot. I can't aim it. But it's pointed straight up. A perfect broadcast cone to hit the atmosphere and bounce back down, blanketing the entire region. The problem is the power conduit. It was severed decades ago. I have to manually reconnect it. It means going outside, climbing the service gantry on the dish itself, and rerouting the main power cables. During the day, in the open, while the hordes I attracted coming up the mountain are probably gathering at the base of the facility. It's the final desperate act, the culmination of everything. I've configured the broadcast system. The kill switch frequency is loaded. I've set on a continuous loop. All I need to do is connect the power. The plan is to start the broadcast, then get back inside the bunker and ride out the storm. The sonic pulse should, in theory, be harmless to a normal human nervous system. But the theory has never been tested. I don't know what it will do to me. Will it tear me apart too? A risk I have to take. I'm tired. My body is a roadmap of pain. My hands shake. I keep seeing the faces of the people I couldn't save. Daniels and Chen in the lab. The family in the overturned minivan on the freeway. The men at the bridge. My God, the men at the bridge. I have to believe this will work. I have to believe that their deaths, that all the deaths meant something. That this is not just an extinction. It's a test, and we have to pass it. The sun is coming up. It's time. I'm leaving this recorder here in the control room. If I don't make it back, this log ends here. But the broadcast will begin. Listen for the sound. It will be the sound of a new beginning, or the final screaming note of our end. This is Dr. Eris Thorne, the scientist, the survivor, the ghost. May God have mercy on our souls, if he's even listening anymore. Log 6. It's done. The broadcast is active. I'm back in the control room. I'm alive. I don't know how. The climb, it was... Every muscle in my body is screaming. The gantry was rusted, swaying in the wind. I had to wear lineman's gloves I found in a storage locker to handle the main cables. They were as thick as my arm. The whole time, I could hear them below me, the horde. They had gathered at the base of the dish, drawn by the sound of my work. Hundreds of them, a sea of upturned, vacant faces. They weren't trying to climb. They were just watching, waiting. It was unnerving. When I finally slammed the main breaker into place, the effect was instantaneous. The huge amplifiers deep inside the mountain hummed to life. The ground itself started to vibrate. There was no audible sound at first, just a pressure in the air, a feeling like my teeth were buzzing. Then the screaming started. It wasn't human. It was a high-frequency, electronic shriek that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was the sound of their crystalline nervous systems being torn apart. They convulsed, their bodies arching in agony. The blue light in their chests flared brilliantly, then sputtered out like a dying star. They fell, one by one, like puppets with their strings cut. It was a silent, horrifying massacre. I just clung to the gantry, watching the wave of death spread out from the dish, down the mountain, and into the haze-covered basin below. The broadcast is on a loop now. A silent, deadly pulse washing over the landscape every 60 seconds. I've been monitoring the shortwave radio. The static used to be full of faint screams and guttural clicks. Now, there's nothing. Just silence. A profound, absolute silence that is more terrifying than the noise ever was. Did it work? Did I actually do it? Did I cleanse the entire region? Or have I just made things worse? The frequency is designed to shatter the cobalt silicon lattice. But this thing, this entity, it learns. It adapts. What if some of them survived? The stage 3s, the big armored ones. Maybe they were resistant. What if all I've done is kill the foot soldiers and announce my exact location to the generals? I can't stay here. This place is a beacon now. A beacon of defiance. Or a dinner bell. I need to move. I need to find haven. That child's drawing is the only thing I have that feels like a future. I need to see if it's real. My supplies are gone. The geothermal generator will keep the broadcast going for years, maybe decades. It's a lighthouse in the dark, a cleansing fire. But I can't be the keeper. Before I leave, I'm setting up a final message. I'm hacking into the old emergency broadcast system. The infrastructure is still there. I'm going to transmit a simple, repeating message on all frequencies. A message of hope. Los Angeles is clear. The frequency is the weapon. Head north. Find haven. Daedalus. It's a risk. It will guide survivors, but it might also guide the other kind of monster, the human kind. But it's a risk I have to take. We can't let the fear win. We can't let the darkness have us. We have to start rebuilding, even if it's just one person at a time. The road north will be long. I don't know what I'll find. More gangs? More death? Or maybe that crayon drawing of a smiling sun. I have to believe in the sun. It's all I have left. I'm leaving this final log entry here with the recorder. My story is done, for now. I was a scientist who studied the stars. Now, I'm just a man walking towards a sunrise. I don't know if I'll ever record again. If you find this place, use the technology here. Replicate the frequency. build more towers. Give humanity a fighting chance.
Give us back the silence. The good kind, the peaceful kind, not this dead, empty quiet that presses in on me now. Goodbye, and good luck. This is Eris Thorne, signing off. Log entry 7. I was wrong. It's not over. The silence wasn't a sign of victory. It was a sign of change. I left Project Echo 2 weeks ago. My broadcast, my dataless message, it worked. For a few days, the world felt clean. Dead, but clean. The roads north were littered with the husks of the infected, motionless bodies dissolving into a fine crystalline dust. It was a graveyard, but it felt like a monument to our survival. I found other people, small groups of survivors, drawn out of hiding by my broadcast. They'd heard the message. They looked at me like I was some kind of savior, a prophet. They didn't understand. I'm just a man who got lucky. We formed a small convoy, a handful of working cars, about 15 people. There was hope. We were heading north, looking for haven. We thought we were the inheritors of a new, empty world. We were wrong. The entity, Europa Prime, it didn't die. It evolved. It shed its skin. The sonic pulse, my kill switch, it was a selective pressure. It wiped out the rank and file, the stage 1s and 2s, the ones that were still too closely tied to their stolen human biology. But it didn't kill the signal, the hive mind, the consciousness that guides them. And it didn't kill the most advanced forms, the ones that had moved beyond flesh. We found the first one in the ruins of Bakersfield. It wasn't a stage 3. It was something new, a stage 4. It looked like a tree made of that pulsating, blue crystalline material, fused with metal from cars and buildings. It was 10 stories high, a grotesque alien sculpture that pulsed with a slow, rhythmic light, humming the hive mind frequency, but in a new, lower key. It was a broadcast tower, a new one. It was seeding the area with a modified version of the spores. I saw them, a thick yellow pollen that drifted on the wind. My gas mask could filter the old spores. This new strain? It's smaller, more insidious. It doesn't just infect living hosts. It infects the land itself, the plants, the soil, the water. We saw it in the crops, corn stalks with glowing blue veins, rivers choked with crystalline algae. The planet itself is being converted, terraformed into a new Europa. We are no longer just fighting for our lives. We are fighting for the life of the entire planet. And the new infected? They are different. The spores don't create shambling monsters anymore. The transformation is more subtle. People get sick, a fever, a cough. They seem to recover, but they are changed. Their eyes have a faint blue sheen in the right light. They hum to themselves.
They seem normal, but they are sleeper agents. Nodes in the new network. We had 3 of them in our convoy. We didn't know until it was too late. They didn't attack us with teeth and claws. They sabotaged our cars. They poisoned our water. They led us into an ambush. The new hunters are not repurposed corpses. They are grown. Bioengineered horrors that emerge from crystalline cocoons that hang from the spore trees. They are faster, smarter, and they look nothing like the creatures from LA. They are insectoid, chitinous things with multiple limbs and a terrifying silent efficiency. I am the only one who escaped the ambush. I have been running for 3 days. I am out of food. My water filter is broken. My dataless message, my message of hope, was a lie. I didn't save anyone. I just forced the enemy to change its tactics. I led those people to their deaths. I am no savior. I am a fool who thought he could win a war with one battle. The enemy isn't an army of monsters. It's an ecosystem, a sentient planet killer, and it's been assimilating worlds for eons. Earth is just its latest meal. I'm huddled in a storm drain. It's wet and cold. I can hear the new hunters skittering on the street above me. Their clicks are different now, sharper, more intelligent. I've recalibrated my old shortwave radio. I can hear the new network. It's not just humming anymore, it's language. A complex series of clicks and pulses, a conversation. They are talking about me. They call me the aberration, the signal. They are hunting me specifically. They know I am the one who broadcasts the frequency. They know I understand them. They want the knowledge in my head, or they just want to silence the one voice that knows the truth. I don't know how much longer I can go on. The hope I felt is gone, replaced by a cold, hard despair. But I have to warn someone. I have to get this new information out. The frequency is not a permanent solution. It's a temporary deterrent that forces adaptation. We need something else, a true biological weapon. I'm heading for what's left of the CDC outpost at Fort Collins. It's 1,000 miles away, an impossible journey. But my data, my Pandora drive, I didn't destroy it. I lied in my last log. I couldn't. I hid it. If I can get to a real lab, a real team of scientists, maybe, just maybe, we can find the real key, the real weakness. This is my new mission, my penance, for the 15 people who died because they trusted me. If you are a survivor, do not trust the new quiet places. Do not trust the strange plants. Do not trust anyone who seems too calm. The war is not over. It has just entered a new, more terrifying phase. This is Dr. Eris Thorne, and I am being hunted. Log entry 8. I've been walking for a month.
Across the blasted plains of Nevada and the frozen peaks of Utah, the world is changing faster than I can comprehend. The terraforming is accelerating. The sky is a permanent, sickly yellow from the spores. The spore trees are everywhere now, great crystalline cathedrals that pulse in unison, a silent, global network. They are the new forests of this dying world. I've learned to survive. I move at night. I drink only rainwater I collect on clean surfaces. I eat whatever I can scavenge. Canned goods from long-dead towns, the tough, stringy meat of mutated animals that seem to be resistant to the spores. I am becoming something feral, something as hardened and resilient as the monsters I flee. But the biggest change is not outside, it's inside me. The loneliness is a physical presence, a constant weight on my soul. I talk to myself, I argue with ghosts. The ghosts of my colleagues, the ghosts of the convoy, the ghost of my sister, Sarah. Her voice is the clearest. I remember our last conversation, the one on day 0. She was laughing about a stupid TV show. I was distracted, looking at the telemetry from the probe. I rushed her off the phone. I said, "I'll call you back, Sar. Big day here." I never did. That's the memory that keeps me walking, the guilt, the shame. It's a better fuel than food or water. 2 weeks ago, something new happened. I was trying to hotwire a car in a small, snow-covered town in Colorado when I found a working laptop. Its battery was dead, but I managed to charge it with my solar panel. I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. I found a signal, a weak encrypted Wi-Fi network bouncing off a series of jury-rigged relays. And on that network, I found them. Or they found me. They call themselves Remnant. They are a network of scientists, engineers, and soldiers, survivors like me, scattered across the continent in isolated bunkers and outposts. They picked up my dataless broadcast. It was the first sign of intelligent, organized resistance they had seen. They have been trying to contact me for weeks. They tracked my movements through my sporadic use of electronics. They knew I was heading for Fort Collins. They are the last vestige of the old world, the last flicker of organized human thought. Their leader, the voice I speak to, calls himself General. He's an old, tired man, his voice a gravelly whisper over the encrypted channel. He told me what happened to the world beyond LA. The story was the same everywhere. The spore spread on the jet stream.
Every major city fell within a month. The governments of the world collapsed in a storm of lies and failed quarantines. What's left of the U.S. government is a bunker deep under the Cheyenne Mountain complex. But Remnant is different. They are not trying to hide.
They are trying to fight. They have been gathering data, just like me. They have confirmed my theories about the hive mind, the terraforming, the evolution of the infected. But they were missing the key, the origin, the data from Europa 7, my Pandora drive. I am now the most valuable asset they have. My impossible journey to Fort Collins has a new purpose. It's not just my penance, it's a rendezvous. Remnant is sending a team to meet me, to escort me the rest of the way. For the first time since this began, I am not alone. But this has brought a new kind of fear, a fear of failure. Before, if I died, a story died with me. Now, if I die, the last best hope for humanity might die too. The pressure is immense, and the enemy knows. The hive mind is not just a biological network, it's intelligent. And it is aware of Remnant. It's been hunting them, trying to find their hidden bases. Now it's hunting me with a new, terrifying focus. I am no longer just an aberration. I am a target of strategic importance. The hunters are more organized. Their search patterns are more sophisticated. Last night, they used a pincer movement to try and trap me in a narrow canyon. I only escaped by climbing a sheer rock face in the dark, with my fingernails tearing and my muscles screaming. They are adapting to my tactics. It feels like I'm playing chess against a god with a billion bodies and a mind that scans a planet. And I am just one tired, broken pawn. But I have to keep moving. The rendezvous is in 72 hours, a place called Echo Peak. I have the coordinates. I have a purpose. And for the first time in a long time, I have a destination that isn't just a vague hope, but a concrete plan. The ghost of my sister is quiet today. It's as if she too is holding her breath, waiting to see if I will make it. I have to. I have to give her a better ending than our last broken phone call. I have to give us all a better ending than this. This is Eris Thorne, on my way to Echo Peak, and I am not alone. Log entry 9, rendezvous. The word feels alien, a relic from a dead language. For months, my only interactions have been with the dead, the infected, or the broken. The idea of meeting a friendly, organized force feels like a dream. But the coordinates are real. Echo Peak, a decommissioned radio relay station high in the Rockies. I've been climbing for the last 12 hours. The air is thin and brutally cold. The wind howls like a hungry animal. But up here, the spores are thinner. The air feels cleaner, safer. I can see the relay tower now, a skeleton of rusted steel against the gray, churning sky. Remnant's instructions were precise. Approach from the south ridge at dawn.
Use the code phrase, "Is there an echo in here?" The response should be, "Only the ghosts of yesterday." It's absurdly poetic for a military countersign. The general, I'm learning, has a flair for the dramatic. The last 48 hours have been the worst of my life. The hive mind knows where I'm going. It threw everything it had at me. Swarms of the new insectoid hunters, great, lumbering behemoths that seem to be made of rock and crystal, bioengineered siege engines that smashed through everything in their path. And the whispers, the psychological attacks have intensified. It's not just my sister's voice anymore. It's my parents, my old professors, Dr. Petrova, screaming my name, blaming me. The hive mind is sifting through the consciousness of every person it has ever absorbed, looking for the voices that will break me. It's a desperate, last-ditch effort to stop me from reaching this tower. Last night was the closest I came to breaking. I was pinned down in a cave, the entrance blocked by a rock slide. A pack of hunters was outside, scraping at the rocks. And then the voice came. It was my own. It was a recording of me from my first log entry. Is this thing on?
My name is Dr. Eris Thorne. It was using my own words against me, mocking my journey, my hope. It was a declaration. We own your past, it was saying. We own your memories. We own you. I almost gave up. I sat there in the dark with my rebar clutched in my hand, and I thought about just walking out there and letting it in. But then I thought of the drawing. Haven. I thought of the tired, gravelly voice of the general. I thought of the convoy and the promise I made to their memory. And I found a way out. A narrow fissure at the back of the cave. I crawled for hours through solid rock. I am not the man I was. The scientist who was afraid of a fluctuating pressure sensor is long dead. The man who crawled out of that mountain is someone else. Someone harder. Someone who will not break. So, I am here, approaching the tower. I see movement. Figures in white winter camouflage, armed with modern military rifles. They move with a quiet professionalism that I haven't seen since the National Guard fell. It's them. It has to be. I take a deep breath. My heart is pounding. This is it. The end of one journey and the beginning of another. I raise my hands to show I am not a threat. I step out from behind the rocks. Is there an echo in here? I call out, my voice hoarse and cracked. One of the figures raises a hand. The voice that comes back through the wind is clear, calm, and strong. Only the ghosts of yesterday. Relief washes over me so intensely that my knees buckle. I almost fall. They are real. Hope is real. The lead soldier approaches me. She removes her helmet.
She's young, with a grim, determined face and eyes that have seen too much. "Dr. Thorne," she asks, "we've been waiting for you. The general sends his regards. Welcome to Remnant." I can only nod. I don't have the words. I follow them into the relay station. It's been converted into a small, functional military outpost. Warm, bright, full of life. People turn to look at me as I walk past. They look at me with a mixture of awe and pity. I must be a sight. A gaunt, bearded wild man in torn clothes, clutching a piece of rebar like a holy relic. The soldier, her name is Corporal Gian, leads me to a communications hub. A large screen flickers to life. The face of an old man, with kind eyes and the weight of the world on his shoulders, appears. "Dr. Thorne," the general says. His voice is tired as I remembered. "Eris, you made it. By God, son, you made it." "I have the data," I whisper, patting the worn satchel where the Pandora drive is hidden. "Everything. The origin, the biology, the frequency." "You have brought us the sword, son," he says, a tear tracing a path through the wrinkles on his cheek. "Now we have to teach ourselves how to wield it. The journey is over. I am safe. I am with allies. We have the key. But as I stand here, in this warm, safe room, looking at the face of the man who represents our last hope, I feel a cold dread creep up my spine. The hive mind let me get here. It threw everything it had at me, yes, but it failed. An intelligence that spans a planet, that commands 1 billion bodies. Did it really fail to stop one man? Or did it want me to succeed? Did it want me to deliver this sword to its enemies? A trap within a trap. A Trojan horse, delivered by a man named Eris. The irony is not lost on me. The war is far from over. In fact, I have a terrifying feeling that I have just delivered the opening gambit in the final, apocalyptic game. And the board is the entire planet. This is Eris Thorne. I have reached Remnant, and I am more afraid than I have ever been. Log entry 10. Final entry. I don't know when I'll have the chance to record a personal log again. Things are moving fast. The relay station at Echo Peak was just a listening post. From there, we were transported via a salvaged V-22 Osprey to the heart of Remnant's operations, Cheyenne Mountain.
the legendary NORAD facility. It's everything you've seen in the movies and more. A city buried in a mountain of granite, shielded from any nuclear or biological threat. It's a fortress, but it feels like a tomb. There are maybe 5,000 souls here, the last remnants of the U.S. government, military, and scientific community. The last bastion of human civilization, living on recycled air and hydroponic food, while a new world, a hostile world, grows on the surface above. This is Eris Thorn. I have reached Remnant, and I am more afraid than I have ever been.
My Pandora drive was received like a sacred text. The data has been disseminated to every scientist here. For the first time, they understand the enemy. My cobalt poisoning theory, my sonic weapon, these were crude, blunt instruments. With the full data set, they are developing something far more elegant. A gene-editing virus. A weapon that will turn Europa Prime's own biology against itself, creating a cascading failure in its silica-based neural network. A true silver bullet. We have a weapon. We have a plan. The general calls it Operation Prometheus, a mission to steal fire back from the gods. The plan is to use intercontinental ballistic missiles, their nuclear warheads replaced with a payload carrying the new virus, to target the largest spore trees around the globe simultaneously. A coordinated planetary decapitation strike. It's brilliant. It's audacious. It might just work. But my fear, the fear I felt at Echo Peak, it hasn't gone away. It's grown. The hive mind is not stupid. It knows we are here. It knows we are planning something. The surface of Cheyenne Mountain is under constant siege. The creatures it's throwing at our defenses are beyond anything I ever saw. Biomechanical nightmares, things of crystal and metal and flesh that can tear through a blast door. The war has begun in earnest, and I am at the center of it. I am not a field scientist anymore. I am a strategist. I sit in the war room with the general and the Joint Chiefs. My understanding of the hive mind psychology is our greatest tactical asset. I predict its movements, its strategies. I am hunting the mind that has been hunting me. It is a terrifying, intimate duel. We are two intelligences locked in a game of cosmic chess. Yesterday, it spoke to me, not through the voices of the dead, but directly. It found a way into our secure communications network. A single line of text appeared on my screen. The aberration. We see you, the creator of the echo. You think your cage of rock will save you? We are the rock. We are the planet. You are only a delay, not a defeat. It knows. It is watching us. It is waiting. It is adapting. This weapon, this virus, we only get one shot. If it fails, if the hive mind finds a way to adapt to it, there will be no second chances. Humanity's final play will have been made, and we will have lost. The launch is scheduled for 0600 tomorrow. The fate of the world rests on a few lines of code and a prayer. I walked through the hydroponic bays today. They are growing real food here, real strawberries. A young botanist offered me one. The taste was explosive, sweet and real and alive. It was the first real food I've had in months. It was the taste of the world we lost, the world we are fighting to get back. In that moment, holding that small red fruit, I knew that this fight was worth it, win or lose. To stand against the dying of the light, to rage against the silence. That is the victory. My name is Dr. Eris Thorn. I was a man who looked at the stars. I brought a monster home, and now I will help send it back to the hell it came from. This is my last log. If you are listening to this in some far-flung future, it means we failed. But know this,
We did not go quietly into the night. We fought. We fought for the memory of sunsets, and the taste of strawberries, and the sound of a sister's laughter on the phone. We fought for tomorrow. Eris Thorne, Cheyenne Mountain, signing off.